Welcome back to Nationwide this morning. Turning our attention now to some international news. The Nigerian elections, the recent elections in Nigeria, have been viewed as a bellwether for the continent and the strength of democratic institutions. The election has garnered much international attention, with the media from across the world closely watching the polls, which were won by the ruling party's candidate.
However, with the results contested and the country having a history of experiencing military rule, some wonder if Nigeria and this dispute in Nigeria, will it end badly? Joining us to discuss this election and its impacts, we are joined by a communications specialist and a media consultant, Uche Zoe Onodo. And before she joins us, Tana, very interesting stuff. Yes, a 70-year-old politician, having a veteran politician, having won, but there are talks as it relates to the electronic system and whether or not it was, not feasible, whether or not it was effective or faulty, and how the people feel about that. Good morning, Miss Onodu. So as it relates to the elections in Nigeria, how are the people feeling about it?
So I would say it's been pretty demoralizing, especially among the youth. Because, the 2023 presidential elections was, that point that was supposed to be a breaking point for people in Nigeria, especially the young persons, stemming off from the 2020 NSAS protest that happened. It had been a build-up for people waiting to exercise their civil rights and exercise their franchise and vote out, the incumbent party, which is the APC ruling currently. So it's been, very quiet. People are sad, if I'm to use that word, because what we're experiencing, the results that we're getting is far from what is expected, in the face of serious electoral malpractices and rigging. You would expect that people are not supposed to be happy, which of course is what the demeanor is like around here.
So is it a case where the people on the ground as well are calling for re-elections? Has anyone said that, they experienced a fault with the system itself?
Experience the what?
A fault with the system itself. Did anyone try voting and it didn't vote, or the system caused some problems?
Okay, part of the challenge we had with the system, especially with the newly introduced technology, the BVAS, is the fact that a lot of electoral officers at the several polling units were either saying they were having issues with the PIN for uploading results to the server, or they were saying that the device wasn't just coming on, so they couldn't use it. And we have people who had made up their minds that no matter what happens, they are going to make sure they stick around and make sure that their votes count. And you would have people providing these electoral officers with either Wi-Fi to connect to the internet, or providing them with power generators to power the machines. So these were supposed to be the issues, and you find out that some of them succeeded in not being able to upload the results electronically. So it still boiled down to manually counting results. Which resulted in the distrust that we're seeing currently in the country. The BVAS was supposed to help solve that malpractice problem, where people would adulterate numbers, people would falsify numbers, just to get higher number of votes. But then it turns out that whoever wanted to rig or whoever wanted to do malpractices with the election still succeeded because most of the results were not transmitted electronically. So that was a big challenge.
Mm-hmm. So people are now saying that the election is rigged.
If I want to sound politically correct, I should be adding allegedly to the things I say, right?
Certainly.
But then you find that because people were in anticipation of the situation that we find ourselves in right now, where people will be pointing accusing fingers at each other, saying, you rigged or you didn't rig, or you did some malpractice or you didn't. And you find out people stood back after votes were cast and they participated in the counting. So people have video evidence of what it is, what the results were like in their several different polling units. And when the general results were being announced on TV, there was a lot of disparity. So what would you call that?
I see.
And Uche, on the side of the opposition, they have already indicated, following the results, that they want to, they had called on the Electoral Commission to do something about their concerns. The Electoral Commission says go to the courts. Have they yet filed those claims or made those legal challenges formally?
No legal challenges have been filed formally. We're still waiting on, especially the newly formed third force, the Labour Party, the presidential candidate and his vice from the Labour Party, His Excellency Peter Obi, and his vice, Baba Dati Ahmed. They released a press conference, asking their supporters to stay calm and avoid violence because it wasn't going to help in the first place.
Right.
And then, they made assurances that they were going to pursue it with the judiciary and go to court, but nothing, to the best of my knowledge, has been filed officially.
Now, Uche, in his acceptance speech or victory speech, Tinubu said that Nigeria is the only nation we have. It is one country and we must build together. Let's work together to put broken pieces together. How has this been received by the public?
Like in every other competition, there would always be the winners and the losers and people who are going to want to express, their displeasure one way or another. But then that is an acceptance speech. As it stands, Nigerians have two options. They either contest the result or they accept the speech and support his government. Either way, nothing has been done formally, but, persons from the opposition party, which is the People's Democratic Party, and the third force, which is the Labour Party, and some other, parties that, because we have a lot of them here in Nigeria, they seem not to accept the acceptance speech. People are still expressing their grievances and their displeasure with threats of going to the courts, flying here and there. So in the next 1 week to 1 month, we just watch as things unfold.
But there seems, Uche, as well, following the results, looking at the statistics, the voter turnout was quite low at 26%. People don't seem to want to participate in the process. Not motivated enough to go out and vote.
It would be nice to mention that a lot of people who came out to vote were not able to vote. If you follow the trends on social media and, all the way from Saturday, which is the 25th, the day of the election, last Saturday till today, you would still see people chanting in their polling units, we want to vote, we must vote. These people till today didn't vote. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people in different polling units scattered across the 36 states of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory. So when those statistics come up, they would have been counted, or the statistics would have been generated from
those who cast a ballot.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, that statistics would have been generated from people who cast the ballot. So it excludes these thousands of patriotic Nigerians who wanted to exercise their rights but were denied the opportunity. Some people would have voted, except for the pockets of violence that broke out in their polling units. So, you would put all these into consideration before people would decide whether the voter turnout was low or it wasn't.
Okay. So what's the way forward now, Uche, as we wrap up this segment?
I believe that every Nigerian has the right to express their displeasure and seek justice and address whatever negative feelings that they have. And I urge of the judiciary would listen and hand the people's mandate back to them. A lot of Nigerians are not happy with the result and the outcome. You would agree with me if you follow the trends on social media. So I am hoping that when maybe Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP or Peter Obi of the Labour Party, maybe when they finally decide to take this matter to court, I am hoping that justice will be served as we stay away from violence, of course.
Yeah.
So no possibility of military intervention then?
There's been a lot of talks about that even before the actual election. Just a week or so before the elections, you could see heavy military presence across the country, especially in Lagos. And I wouldn't hope that happens. The last time we had military rule in Nigeria was in 1999, and that was when we had the official handover from military rule to democratic rule. And I'm also hoping that this election doesn't get cancelled, because that would take us back to 1993 when MKO Abiola won the election and it was cancelled, and we went all the way back to military rule. That's going to drive us back into even more chaos than we would expect and we can handle. So I am hoping that the military is only out here for security purposes and not for anything else.
And democratic institutions in Nigeria, are they strong enough during this period?
This is a conversation that usually comes up, especially in the media houses, when we have conversations around institutions. We keep debating if we really have strong institutions or strong men handling the institutions. And while we hope that in the face, as our democracy grows and matures, that we will be able to find out which we want to have, because right now it seems like a lot of these parastatals, these democratic institutions are under a certain kind of control, and that makes work and that makes progress a little more difficult than it should be. We are hoping that by the time the dust settles and we move on in our democracy for the next 4 years, we're hoping that we can get it right this time.
All right, thank you so much for sharing with us. I hope that it doesn't spill over into something,
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
No problem. I hope it doesn't spill over and affect the society more than it needs to. That's Uche Zoe Onodo, communications specialist and media consultant from Nigeria. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We go for the break? Yes, we go for the break. We'll be back.